Hello, hello. This is an audio check. All right. Okay, so I think we are live. I'm just waiting for my audio check to catch up with me so I can know for sure. It's there's always a bit of a delay between what I am broadcasting versus what's being put up. All righty. Okay, we are good to go. Welcome, everyone. I am doing a sew along for with Fabrications, which is where I work. My name is Danielle. I have been working at Fabrications since February, I think it is, and I've been having lots of fun there. And so tonight, I am doing my start of the Chanterelle Sew Along or Pant-Along, which sounds like Pant-Along. If you're paying attention. Um, and so, yeah, so we are going to, I'm just going to introduce some things to you guys today. We're not going to quite start sewing so much as we're going to get prepared to do the cutting. So that's where we're at right now. Yeah. Okay, so the Chanterelle pants. This is them here. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. Should be, yeah, there we go, down a little bit. Glare. Anyway, yeah, so they're a really cute pair of pants. They're brought out by Sew Liberated. She does some really kind of really cute clothes that are like sometimes going in towards the Hobbit core realm. I would argue that these are within that realm of Hobbit core, even if they are a little bit more fitted maybe than Hobbits want, or Hobbit's soul, like soul. If you have a soul of a Hobbit, anyway. So yeah, this is it's a nice wide leg pant or a cuffed pant. Let's see here. We have the different versions. You can kind of see there's sort of a cuffed version. There's the wide leg, and there's also shorts. And it comes with several different pocket styles. Let's see if here we go. You can do the wide leg sort of sets it up to be an inset kind of pocket. I don't know if inset. I don't think inset's the right word. And then there's a patch pocket for the little cuffed ones, and of course the shorts have also the patch pocket. Now, even though it's set up to be doing those pockets with those shapes, you probably could hack them together. There'd be no reason you couldn't copy the top of the wide leg pant and merge it onto the narrow leg pant. Okay. But yeah, so it's a really cute pattern and it's pretty basic. I've sewn through it once and I'll be sewing through it again one more time with you guys. I might make we'll see, I might make shorts too. So we'll see. Okay, and so yeah, let's talk about what I'm gonna sew because that's gonna integrate into maybe some choices you guys might need to make. Yeah, so first and foremost, you might be thinking about, well, what kind of fabric will I need? I'm going to give you guys a better view of what's on the table here. There we go. All right, so you can see a little bit better now what's on the table instead of just looking at my face. Okay, so what I've got here is a slightly damp, because I was drying it, and it's didn't fully dry, rayon twill. And this is a really good, it's on sale at Fabrications right now for 50% off, by the way, if you get to it. And it's a rayon twill. So rayon is light and drapey. It can be very swishy. Right now it's not swishing as much as it would swish because it's still damp, but it is really good for pants that are swishy. This is what I'm going to use to make my next pair of Chanterelle pants. Normally, I would immediately say, oh, these are going to be better in the wide leg. It's going to create a really swishy pair of pants. It's going to be fantastic, which it would, and all those are true. But I'm really tempted to just make them in the cuffed pant because I have a lot of wide leg pants as it is, and I kind of want to have more pants that I have that are cuffed. Anyway, but that said, it would be fantastic in these pants. And so when you're thinking about fabrics, as you might have watched the video already when I talked about different fabric choices, probably you want to go with less structured fabric for the wide leg and a slightly more structured fabric, or you don't have to, but the cuff bit with the, well, what do we call those, darts? There we go. The darted cuff there, it's going to just show off a little bit better if it's in a structured fabric, right? So if you're doing it, so I'm going to do it in this drapey one anyway, but what's probably going to happen is it's not going to show this off very well, and it's probably going to be a little bit more invisible. I might change my mind next week. We'll see. I'll go to cut out the pattern and who knows what I'll do. But I'm thinking though, I still want to stick with this cuffed version. So that's, but those are some considerations to think about. It takes a bit more fabric to do the wide leg. That's another thing. If you're using fabric from Stash and you're like, oh my gosh, I only have X amount of fabric, it might be worthwhile then to do the cuffed version for the less fabric. It has a little bit less length there. So some thoughts. But yeah, so I've got this on sale fabric right now, Fabrications, rayon. So that's really great. The other things you'll need then besides your fabric are going to be, toss that away, 2-inch elastic. Got here. This is a fairly soft 2-inch elastic. It's certainly not a no roll elastic. It's going to be, yeah, it's definitely a rollable 2-inch elastic, but the pattern calls for stitching across the elastic. So that's going to hold it in place, and that's going to make it okay. It is pretty sure it is 2 rows of stitching, if I remember correctly. Yes, it is 2 rows of stitching when we get there. So that's okay then. You know, if we have a softer elastic, don't worry about it. It's going to get stitched down. It's not going to get rolled up in the elastic waistband there. So that's fine. So yeah, you got to get your 2-inch elastic, and then you need a little bit of interfacing for on the pockets. And then it does say you could use the, like a kind of like a hem tape almost, or the fusible sort of, you can get stuff like this where it's sort of like a fusible on one side and interface, like it's a strip of interfacing basically. It says I think a yard for that if you want to use that, and she asks for 1 inch, so thicker than this. But I'm just going to use good old interfacing. The patch pockets, yeah, have kind of a curve cut out for them that will make just using the interfacing better for me. And because I just have this on hand, so I'm just going to use what I have on hand. Yeah. And then the other thing she suggests is, she says like cardstock or some like a kind of firmer, what do we do? Cards. Yeah, she says cardstock for making templates. Well, I just I grabbed mini wheats, and I'm hoping this will work out okay. So what's going to happen is we're going to cut out, there's a template bit that you will cut out of the cardboard, and then you'll use that to press around to get your so not selvages, seam edges in right underneath the pockets, really nice and crisp. It'll help getting a really nice curve on the pocket curves. Yeah, which is, when I did my first pair, I did just do like sort of a pinch and press method, which was fine, but it doesn't get you the nicest curve possible. Oh, we've got a guest. Everyone say hello to Fury. She is always the honored guest. Okay, you're gonna have to be quiet though, okay? You can lie here, but you must be quiet. Yes, Fury loves to make a guest presence on any sort of live I do. All right. Anyway, so yeah, get some cardstock going, and of course you'll need your pattern. So we've got all the insides of the pattern. One thing to do is when you finally unfold these and then you go to fold them back in, one thing I have been meaning to do and keep forgetting every time I do this on a pattern is when you fold it out, the piece that's out, write down what's inside these pattern pieces so that I would know if this is like the pants of pants, you know, like view A pants front, view A pants back, pocket, you know, like, so because you inevitably forget to cut something out or you miss something or whatever. And And then you have to unfold every one of them to find the piece you're looking for. But if we had just list them, we would know where the piece is. Anyway, so that's, I've been starting to do that on my patterns, but I didn't do it on this one, but I want to. Okay, where are we here? Finished. Oh yes, okay, so different choices of fabric we kind of talked about. Check out that video if you want even a little bit more of like fabric choices. I talked about the Brussels in that video, but we're almost sold out of Brussels now. But some, yes, kitty. Yeah, just some fabric with a little bit of structure and a little bit of drape, something like the cotton, linens. We've got a bunch of new linen blends and fabrication, so check that out. Yes, what was I about to grab? Pieces to cut, pocket templates. Okay. Oh yes, let's talk about, where are my instructions? We are going to talk a little bit about sizing and what you should choose for your size. And when we're looking at this pattern, like what does it mean? What kind of fit are you expecting? What does it mean to look at the different fits and your measurements and to understand what kind of fit you want? Okay, she did a really excellent job of outlining the finished measurements and your measurements comparisons. So I really highly encourage you guys all to look at this and take a thorough understanding of how each piece is. Hey, you can't be biting. If you're biting, you're gone. Okay, so sorry, distraction of the kitty. Okay, so because the one thing that becomes apparent very, very quickly is that the wide leg pant also gives more room in the hips and sort of like rise area as well. So if you were like me, I am someone who has, here, let's put that there. I'm someone who has a waist measurement around 40-ish, and then my hip measurement is like 53. Those are actually, according to this pattern and what block they've used, those are measurements that are 3 sizes apart. So my waist is sitting at, here, let's see. Yeah, my measurements here. So my waist, okay, Kittis, we really need this. Okay, I'm sorry. I know you're probably also highly entertaining, but okay, there you go. All right. My waist is sitting, where are we here? 40, waist, here we go. 36, there we go, 40. So my waist could be anywhere between, so sometimes it's a 39 as well, by the way. So, but anyway, so somewhere between 20 and 22. But if I'm looking at my hip, it's over at 26. Like, so we're going from 22 to 26 at the very minimum, which is fine. Like, you can absolutely grade a pattern out to that much. And that is, I definitely did do some grading. I wish, okay. And we should talk about that a little bit. So I definitely did some grading on the pattern, and I would have definitely taken it out at least one size. But if I'm like, okay, well, how tight really is that going to be? Like, is that really 53 inches that I absolutely need? And do I want it to be snug? Is it going to be snug on my body if it's 53 inches? Or is that going to be a loose 53 inches that they're saying it's going to be? Because maybe I like to wear pants that are a little bit more loose instead of wearing pants that are, perfectly snug. Especially, say I'm using a fabric that I know has zero give. Like, I'm using canvas and it's really not even meant to be used as clothes, but I'm still using it as clothes. That fabric's going to have almost no give. So I'm probably going to want to make sure that there's plenty of room. If I'm using something with like a linen rayon blend, I'm probably going to have give. It's going to stretch out a little bit on me. It's going to fit to my body a little bit better, and it's going to feel a little softer. So I'm maybe not as concerned. But what you need to look at when you're thinking this through is comparing what it says for your measurements to what the finished sizes are. And what you will find in this pattern is that the finished garment measurements for view A, which is the wide leg, is significantly different than the narrower leg and cuffed bottom. And so that might not be first apparent in the drawings and the pictures, but it is a surprising amount. So if we, so here on the 26, that's the 53-inch hip, and I'm going down and I'm looking at how much it is for view A in the hip. It has 60 inches in the hip, 60 and a bit, and so it's telling me that they want swishy hips. These pants are meant to be wide leg and very, very swishy. So you're like, oh, okay. So if I've got that much room, if I really want the super swishy pants, I'm going to still grade out. If I'm like, actually I don't mind a bit of a fitted pair around my hips. Like my legs are, my legs aren't quite the size 26, but my butt is. So I want them to hold true to form lower down. Then I might lower it down. I might go, you see, it's 58 on the 24, still room on my 53-inch hip. So, I can work within that measurement. I don't have to necessarily follow exactly their recommendations. They're just giving us a starting point, right? And then if I'm doing the more narrow leg of the one that's cuffed, I go into here and it's 26, and it's like, oh, that hip is only 56 inches. They're only giving me 3 inches of room there, which I didn't realize, I'm pretty sure, when I did the first pair. I think I only graded out, I think I went 22 to 54. And I was like, oh, one of them anyway, whichever one it was that it fit snugger than I thought it was going to fit. It still fit, but I was surprised at how snug it was fit because I didn't properly check these measurements, and I was just sort of going off what they suggested. And then sometimes I I don't grade out all the way, even though my hip is suggested to like X size. Sometimes I don't grade up all the way to that size. I'll just do one before that. And had I maybe known even it was only 3 inches, I also perhaps maybe would have gone up a size to make sure there's lots of room there, because I want them to be very comfortable pants. And depending on the fabric I'm using, I don't want it to pull on my butt too much. So if the pants are not very, very snug, if the pants are going to pull at all on my butt when I go to sit down, I want there to be lots of room so that butt seam isn't constantly pulling and going to rip. So that's really important to me. So often if I'm using a more delicate fabric or a fabric prone to fraying, perhaps, I might go a size up so that I know that it's not going to get that constant pulling. But yeah, so these are a really good place to look. Let's check. How long have I been going for, you guys? Oh, good. We've only, could have been a half hour, could have been 20 minutes. I don't know. Anyway, we are still good on time. But yeah, so that's a really good place to start when you're thinking about your sizing and thinking about your measurements. It can be very, very helpful to just get a feel for how they're sizing their clothing or their patterns. And she's very, very thorough. She's got all sorts of information on here. She's got crotch depth. She's got the hips, the inseam length. This pattern, by the way, is made for a 5'5" person, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so 5'5". So if you are taller than 5'5", you may want to extend those legs. So that's my height, so I'm good. But if you are taller or shorter, you may want to check out those videos I had on changing the length and be adjusting those. All right. Okay, so let's talk about, so now with the cutting. You guys might all be pros at cutting, which is good, but I'm just going to run down with you guys what I would normally do for my cutting, just to let's see. Transferring notches from fusible into, okay, yeah. So what I would do is oh yeah, she's got a good list. Okay, she's got a list that says about following notches. So I don't know if it lists every single piece you also need to cut, but regardless, they don't always have that kind of thing. So I often am just looking at the cutting diagrams. So when I will go into the cutting diagrams and find the view I'm looking for, and I will use this as making sure I know I've cut out the right pieces I needed. Like I said, sometimes I fail anyway, but I try. And so yeah, that's you can go into here, make sure you're getting the right pieces, make sure you're covering every all the little pieces, because there are, like, for instance, this little pocket bit, so don't miss that. And so also, if you are fighting to use this out of stash and you're coming a little bit low, you can cheat on the pockets. If you guys cannot fit these pockets, do them cross grain. It's fine. Do them not cross grain. As long as the pocket, if it has pattern, pay attention. If it doesn't have pattern, do whatever, especially on the ones that are inside. Don't worry about it. Just, it's a pocket. It'll go on top of grained fabric to hold it in place. So it's all good, especially these little interfacing bits. Just put them wherever they fit. One thing to watch out for, which is something I didn't note for myself, but I was thinking of talking to everyone about this, is that on some of the versions and how they have you cut it out, they are cutting out the waistband cross grain here versus on grain, or yeah, depending on how you want to talk about that. If you don't, I couldn't fit that. I don't know if I was cutting wrong or I was making things up, and so I couldn't quite there. So I couldn't do it like that. But technically, on some sizes, it is too long to do on grain, so vertically, so perpendicular to the selvage. So like this. So the smaller sizes can cut like this because it's long. It's not too long, but some sizes it gets too long, and you have to cut it horizontal like that. But honestly, if you don't have room for that or you didn't have the leftover fabric for that, just piece it. It's fine. It's an elastic waistband. No one's going to see those seams. Piece it to the right length, and then you're golden. Don't worry too much about it. It's totally fine. That's what I did. I ended up having to piece it. And it's, yeah, no, it's like, it's just a waistband. No one's going to see that. It's going to be gathered. So that's totally fine to do if you need to. Yeah, so that's, yeah, and even if you just didn't, yeah, if you just don't want to have to cut it that way, because the other thing is that it doesn't have the full length for you. You have to like flip it, and if you don't want to deal with that, because this is indicating that only half of this pattern piece is available, and then you have to turn it over and cut the rest. That can be kind of a pain in the butt to do. So if you just go ahead and cut it like you're stripping for quilting. That's the easiest way to do waistbands, in my opinion. And then just piece it together. It's fine. All right. Okay. So that, I think, is my odds and ends about cutting. Don't mistake your the template pieces for the actual pattern pieces of the pocket, because the template is slightly smaller than the actual pocket. So make sure you know which one's coming out of fabric and which one's coming out of cardboard. So watch out for that. All right. But otherwise, I think this is a good enough intro. I'm just checking my notes. Yeah, measurements and fit. Good. I think we covered all the bit of the intro. Please feel free to comment on anything here if you guys have any questions about what's going on, or if you just want to let us know that you're going to start with us and sewing. I'd love to know. I'm very excited. I love sewing pants a lot. I sew a lot of pants. Everything I see, especially an exciting pattern, I'm like, oh my God, those would make great pants. So I would love to know if you guys are sewing chanterelles with me and what you're sewing them out of. So please comment for that. And just so you guys know, for my plan upcoming is, so between now and next week, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the pattern, cut out all the pieces out of the fabric. And then next week, what we'll do together is I will show you guys the pressing around the cardboard, and I will do the pocket placements and the pocket sewing down and all the bits of pocket prep, because those are the first few steps that happen. And so we'll do all that together as much as possible, as long as it doesn't go too long. Turned out there's a lot of different pocket bits to do. Oh, here, let me go big screen for you guys so you can stop looking at my hands. There we go. Anyway, so so we'll do all the pocket stuff together, placement. I'll show you guys Katie's, well, it's not Katie's technique, but I learned it from Katie, which is when you're placing a pocket down and using like a sticky. Anyway, won't give away the next week's stuff. So next week 2 is the pockets. In between week 2 and week 3, I will start attaching the legs. I'll sew them up together. And then on week 3, we're going to talk about the waistband attachment and an alternate method, because I didn't quite like having to do her method of attaching the waistband. I found it frustrating, and it's a method that I always struggle with anyway, and it feels unnecessary. So I am going to suggest an alternate attachment, and then so we'll go through all that. And then week 4, we will do hemming together and or the cuff and or both. I'll probably do 2 versions to just do it together, and then we can talk about how it fits on the body and like maybe what future adjustments I might do to it. But yeah, I think that sums up what's coming for you guys. Thank you so much for watching if you're here with me, and I hope to see you guys next week. And let me know if you have any questions at all in the comments, or feel free to message Fabrications directly. Thanks for being here with me, guys. See you next time.